everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of the Long Coat Mafia podcast. It is I, the Reverend Godfather, the show's main host and frontman, and I have some great news for you, and some kind of not so great news. The great news is, if you've been following the show for the past couple of weeks, you kind of know that we've been kind of having a sound issue, and, well, I kind of sort of fixed it, and as you all might have heard with last week's episode, if you haven't listened to last week's episode, I do recommend you check it out. It was kind of fun for me to record it, even though it was kind of an experimental sort of thing. So either way, check it out. But that being said, like I said, prior to this point, and the point of last week, this was on a much larger and longer scale. But for the past couple of weeks, or a couple of months, when we've had Big Candy on as a co-host and a hostful, or a guest on like Dobbs and Randy from Geek World Order, you heard us in one ear and you heard our guest in the other ear, and which kind of suck. Even though we got word from some people they kind of like it, and it's because they're standing in the middle of a conversation in a way, but I wasn't crazy about it, because what about the people that are having problems with their speakers or the headphones? They can't really hear my side of the conversation, or my co-host, or my guest. They can't really hear that side of the conversation. So I had to fix something so all of you out there listening could kind of hear both sides, and both of us at the same exact time, and in true kind of stereo. And that's the good news. I fixed that. I learned how. It's a pain in the freaking ass to set up and tweak it just right so both sides come in and everything's recorded. Just the downside is the laptop that I am using right now to do all this and get everything recorded doesn't really have the processing power to handle, or the RAM to process everything and have everything up and running at the same time. So we solved one issue, but we now have another issue that's kind of a little bit out of our control for the most part, mostly due to the fact that financial wise, I don't have the funds to overall fix it right now. Hopefully things work out that I'll eventually have funds to do it. So that's the downside, is that because of the limited processing power this laptop has, and internet connectivity, and RAM issue, and the fact that we tend to use Skype and all these programs working together to bring you content or help bring you content, you'll notice a little bit of clipping issues, or what sounds like I cut a lot of stuff out, but or there's clipping. So please forgive that. It's the overall price we have to pay for right now, until we can get Big Candy actually in studio and use our better equipment. So, as you'll hear in the phone call, that we will eventually be doing more down the road. Hopefully we'll have Big Candy in studio. And in the meantime, if need be, I'll do the solo hostfuls, the creepypastas. I know a lot of you out there don't like the phone calls, and the numbers kind of show that. But for the time being, we'll work this out. We have this new way. From what I was listening to in regards to the longer podcast, the longer recording that I did with Big Candy this past Friday night. So everything sounds right, okay, and fine, for the exception of the little bit of the clipping that's either due to the internet, Skype, both, or the fact that the computer's trying to juggle all these programs at once. So please bear with me. I won't say with me, with the show, with that. But overall, it sounds better, and everything else. I'm going to have to stop ranting and raving in regards to this. But I'm happy about it. So kind of stay tuned after the phone call. I know it's a long long episode because we were catching up and everything else. But I want to talk to you guys about Jurassic World, the new Jurassic World movie that came out. So stick with us. Here's the phone call. Let's hope Audacity works wonders. Thank you. I'll see you guys and gals on the other side. Hey everybody, welcome to a brand new episode of the Long Coat Mafia podcast. As you could tell, and as I said prior to everything, we are trying the new equipment full scale. We have upgraded since last week, upgraded our recording style since last week, and hopefully you're now hearing us from both sides of your headphones instead of one then the other and back again. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfuckers. So hopefully everything works out well and better for all of you. Again, if everything is sounding okay, please let us know by emailing us at longcoatmafia@gmail.com or letting us know on Twitter or Facebook. Our Twitter handle is Longcoat Mafia and our Facebook page is facebook.com/The Longcoat Mafia Podcast. And now, with me today is the one, the only, Big Candy, back from his 3-week vacation.
Well, it wasn't exactly a vacation. I was detained at the border and separated from my parents.
I was
in a cage. I was in a cage. You don't understand. I was wrapped in foil.
Are you sure your parents just put you there on purpose?
Yeah, actually, they made me walk from Mexico. Yeah, I was a drug mule.
For
it
who?
Was hell getting all those. It was hell getting all those Coke bindles out of my ass. I was on the toilet for 3 hours.
There's another comment. There's a medical joke in there, or a prescription joke in reference to that too.
Yeah.
But I want to keep it civil and. Yeah. But before we get into hot dog juice being sold and the Space Force,
Space Force.
There's right as of this recording, we're recording this ironically Friday night for the first time in so long, or since ever. VidCon has started today, and what word has come out, I thought it was going to let this be a quiet year. Let this be a quiet year. I don't have to cover VidCon this year. Don't have to cover it. And look at Twitter. Fuck! Shit's going down. But it's not like, fuck, Anna Carcisi's being a shithole again. No, it's basically what's going on is because VidCon is seemingly going downhill, and a lot of the smaller creators want to have more attention in a way and have more of a personal interaction with their fans. A smaller YouTube got herself and a couple of other YouTubers, including Casey Neistat, to hold. Basically, she was holding her own, or is holding her own convention at the hotel, within a few blocks of the convention center where VidCon is being held at. And because of that, her hotel has a limitation of a couple of thousand. She was only expecting a couple of thousand people to show up, and that's what everybody else was expecting. But 30,000 people tried to show up. Because everybody that was going to VidCon, not as a YouTuber, but as fans, wanted to go to that show as well. And because of the,
I could have told you that.
It was just one of those things. They wanted to go to that. They were willing to pay for it to get in. Just that a lot of the folks, from what I was hearing, the Twitter story kind of poofed. There's no way to say, because if it was on Facebook, it would have stayed up. I would have bookmarked it, and I would have been able to bring it up. But Twitter is kind of funky that if you see it in 5 minutes, there's no way to bookmark it or save it. But this is a little bit from memory. 20,000 people were standing outside trying to get in, and this was something this is nothing. I think I'm going to use this is something outside of TerraCon's control. They were not expecting this. They literally wouldn't. This was not them. So this is a happy accident for them. And the reason why a lot of smaller YouTubers are starting to do this, I think in her case, this was the right time, wrong spot. But for a lot of creators, they don't really like to go to VidCon for it because sometimes it's, again, not the best place for it. So what they're starting to do, or they can't make it to VidCon to do it, like they could be in Buffalo, New York, or Seattle, Washington, or Houston, Texas. They can't really go to VidCon for whatever reason. So they're starting up their own little conventions in their little local. In essence, they're being the Matt Burnses of their area and trying to have a convention. And there's nothing wrong with that. No. It's just it's in this case it was right idea, maybe wrong spot, right time, wrong spot. So. Because it's not continuous on your end, Big Candy. Feel free to weigh in. I'll give a little pause for you to weigh in.
Well, no, I was just saying. I wonder how much crap is actually going to go down at VidCon because it's not the anti-SJW frenzy that it was last year. So you're probably not going to get all those people showing up because it just all that stuff. I don't know if you noticed, but all that stuff kind of died out throughout the year. But you probably will get your I was looking at the guest list of the creators that were going to be there. Of course, you got your Boogie2988, Mark Plyer, people like that. But I'm also looking at a bunch of different people. But you don't see any controversial characters for sure. Right.
Unless something like what just happened today happens again sometime during the weekend. Like last year was the first time the Viners came in, and that's when we saw Logan Paul pulling his bullshit, and some of the other Viners trying to their bullshit. And you had Anna Sarkeesian going at, even though... Mundane Matt and the other group that were just sitting listening to her panel, and she decided to let loose. All that might not happen this year again, but it's the weekend's still young, and we'll kind of, depending on what comes out over the weekend, depending on how big it is and how juicy the information is, we might cover it next week. I'll save it for next episode. By then, I'll probably would have seen Jurassic Park, and we'll talk about that and so forth and so on. We'll save a bunch of stuff for all of you next week. We got to have some stuff to talk about. Just that right now, a lot of things are slow news. It's slow news that right about now, but. But I just wanted to talk. That's the biggest thing that come out, and I wanted to touch on that while it was fresh in my mind. And some of the more happier stuff that we want to cover, at least I want to cover and bring up, because we'll be ranting and raving later on in the episode. And I want to start off on a happy note and happy feet. I want to be happy. And one of the things that
I had my feel of happy a couple weeks ago. Let's go ahead and get this out of the way. It had been a couple of weeks that we were gone. I was gone. You were still broadcasting, but my Caps, my Washington Capitals, for the first time in 44 years, won the Stanley Cup. If you can believe it.
And you went to the great Washington D.C. to see the Caps parade. How was that?
Yeah. Oh my God! There must have been 200,000 people there, and it was absolutely just. But the cool thing was, everywhere you looked was just red jerseys, red hats, the fan outpouring was nuts. It was crazy, and it was crazy getting to see the cup firsthand. It was crazy getting to see Ovi basically party his ass off for 2 weeks straight. It It was so much fun. But as a side note, and this is for you, looks like your Islanders got a new head coach.
Yeah, I've been hearing, I know a lot of people I follow are saying that this is going to be a good thing for the Islanders, and we might actually be in the finals next year. So, fingers crossed on that. But one of the things I want to say in reference to you being in the nation's capital for the Caps parade is like, at least you know, and I want to say this for the listeners, there is, when I promote our show and what me and Big Candy tend to do for the show, is that if there's something I would do for myself in regards to putting myself out there, or I should say, I will put up a photo of Big Candy at an event without question, as long as I'm able to do it to myself. But the thing is, I don't, as much as Big Candy's missus wouldn't mind it, I do not want to put his wife and his child in the same type of spotlight. That's my decision, not Big Candy's. So that's why I didn't really want to share some of the photos that Big Candy did take in our nation's capitals in regards to that, because he was sharing an event with his wife and child, and I didn't want to impede on that aspect, even though it's kind of my policy. I want to at least maintain some privacy for him and his family. So, I know your missus wouldn't mind it, but I just want to at least maintain some level of privacy for you and your family. So
yeah, they appreciate it. Thank you.
So
that's cool. But I just wanted to touch on that. I thought that was one of the, speaking of happy news.
So, and the thing is, I'll say this to you because I didn't get a chance to bring it up to you in this type of setting. Over the past, when they were playing against the Knights, when they were playing against Vegas, that was not a game. That was a fight. I was watching some of the games with Lloyd when I was hanging out with him, and what I was watching was not a game. A game is like you could get up and go to the bathroom, go to the kitchen, grab a drink, grab some snacks, and come back. No, you had to sit down. You better be, have all your shit there, because there was shit going on that you didn't want to leave your seat, because in hopes that you'd miss something.
And that's the thing, like a lot of people watched it because it was on NBC. So a lot of people were watching the finals, and they got exposed to like real good hockey, because a lot of times like these games that get televised on primetime, they're not that great. A lot of times you'll get lackluster games, or it'll be really one-sided, a lot like the Super Bowl usually is. Super Bowl's never really a good Super Bowl except for maybe a couple years, but and it's always tends to be one-sided. But this was a battle, and it was a lot of fun.
And what Lloyd explained to me is that even though this was in essence a fight, I don't mean a fisticuff sort of deal, even though that does happen in hockey, he said this was a goon game, meaning he had to kind of explain it to me. He said a goon game is not just your standard technicalities of passing the puck or passing the ball and so forth and so on, that this is an action-packed game. There is pressure on both sides. Both sides are bringing their A game. They are hungry. They want to have it. This is a goon game, that there is pressure. If anything, they will come to blow. They are on the verge of coming to blows, but they won't. There is just back and forth, back and forth. This is a goon game, not a technical, humdrum, boring game. This is a goon game, which in this case, this type of example, it is a benefit for the fans. The fans win in this, no matter if you're a casual fan. If you're a casual fan or you're a long-time fan of whatever team is playing, this is what fans want. The fans win. And if it gets eyes on the NHL or the NBA or whomever, they win as well. So in essence, you could say it's a win-win.
Absolutely. I mean, it was something else. It was a good series. It was a hard fought series, and what I didn't like, to get away from something real quick, I didn't like, there was some detractors, including Keith Olbermann, formerly of ESPN, who does his own show now and does other things, but he wrote a tweet that said, basically trying to say that the Caps don't deserve as much praise because they beat an expansion team. Like, this was Vegas' first year in the league, and they went very far. But what a lot of people reminded him, though, was that, yeah, this was an expansion team that beat the shit out of every other team in the West. So I don't know what he was getting at. I mean, it was full of veteran players. These were not like new people. These were people that had been around for quite a while.
That's what Lloyd was saying. He said a lot of the expansion teams, like what the Vegas was, they didn't have a lot of rookie players or players that were kind of the B team or the C team. These were veteran players that had these were A-team players, or they were the first string players. They weren't the 15th, the 10th string water boy, so to speak. These were first string players. They were veteran players. They are they're the ones that brought the team to where they were. It was the coach, it was the team, it wasn't the players, it was the team that brought it, not rookie players that were still pissing in the lower urinal instead of the upper urinal. So
right.
So
yeah, so good on the Caps, good on the future of the organization, good on your Islanders. Hopefully they'll do good next year.
Hopefully, I'm hoping on hope. I'll be following it, and
I'd like to see John Tavares actually get a cup.
Yeah, it's been a long time for the Islanders since they had a cup, from what I think. But
yeah, but we'll see.
We'll see next season, and kind of move on. I want to share some more kind of odd and happy. I wouldn't say happy news, but it's kind of fun and odd news. And that I know you said you kind of read it as well, but yesterday, it was not, if not earlier today, or it was yesterday, I was reading an article coming out from Canada stating that there was a festival, or is a festival in Canada, that is selling bottled hot dog water. Yes, it is what it sounds like, because for those folks out there that atypically either fry their hot dogs or grill their hot dogs, there are people that boil their hot dogs, which means they get a big pot, they fill it with water, toss the hot dogs in, and boil the motherfuckers. And apparently, what folks or these group of people are doing is, instead of tossing that water down the drain, is taking that water, putting it in stylish bottles, from what I saw, and selling it to these festival goers for not $1, not $5, not $10 Canadian, but $39 Canadian, which boils down to about $28 American. And people are drinking it because there are claims that it will boost energy, boost intelligence, boost vitality, and there's they're claiming all these health benefits for drinking hot dog water. So
I was reading, I think it's an elaborate troll by the guy who's doing it, because apparently it was during some street festival in Vancouver that apparently word on the street is people were paying like exorbitant amounts of money for all kinds of just common stuff, but because it was trendy, people were dropping money on stuff. Apparently, he just wanted to see if he bottled something and made it weird enough that would people buy it, and they did. I think he used recycled Voss water bottles.
But if the people, let me put it like this: yes, it's weird. Yes, he, as P.T. Barnum once said, that in regards to as a sucker born every minute. Apparently, there were a bunch of suckers that bought this, but this is way different than what was put up. I think a couple of years ago or something like that. That there was a festival somewhere here in the States that. What happened was, one particular vendor could not sell water. For whatever reason, they were not allowed to sell water. Now, this event was like in the middle of the summer, and people need water. And so what they did was, they said, okay, since they put up a sign on their building, we are not allowed in any way, shape, or form sell you water. But we will sell you for $1 American a peanut. Peanut comes with free bottle of water.
Yeah.
So they found a loophole.
There's always a way, isn't there? There's always a way around it.
So, are you buying a bottle of water, sir? No, I'm buying a peanuts, officer. So that was.
I'm selling you, or I'm selling you a plastic container. Unfortunately, the container is sealed, and somehow there got water inside. Please do not drink the water.
But if it's so hot, but you need to drink the water, please do so. Stay hydrated. We will not stop you from. Was that your puppy or something like that? What the hell was that?
She likes to lick herself, and wifey scratched her ears, so she was like, we're having a good time.
And the other thing, we kind of want to bring up that's kind of happy odd is the aspect of Space Force. Space Force. Yeah, that's right. Our happy accident, I won't say happy accident of a president. That would have been George Bush Jr. But our president has declared a new branch of military service, if all of you haven't heard, and that being the Space Force. It's going to be pretty much a side branch of the Air Force because, according to some reports, it won't be the Marines because they would want to fuck everything that we meet. But
it's not going to be a side branch of the Air Force. He said it would be like the Air Force, separate but equal. Really awful use of the words, the phrase "separate but equal." But anyway, that has connotations racially, and people don't like him for stuff like that. But anyway, the Space Force would be a sixth branch, because there already is a branch of the Air Force called U.S. Space Command. So I don't know if it's an extension of Space Command, or Space Command is going to branch off into this new thing and not be a part of the Air Force anymore, or if he's going to do something else. But either way, he said spaceships, and I was like, really?
And the thing is, every tinfoil hat organization on YouTube went ape shit.
Yeah, they lost their friggin' minds collectively. Like Alex Jones.
Oh, Alex Jones is just Alex Jones.
Has been doing something like 2 days. He's just been like for the last 2 days. He's just this is proof. This is proof. They're just gonna do. It's getting closer. They're just gonna eventually roll out what they've actually been doing.
I put more weight in Secure Team 10 than I do Alex Jones, and he seemed like he was going ape shit in reference to. Oh my God, I haven't heard a reference to his thoughts on Space Force, but I'm sure it was more along like, what are they covering up? Are they letting leaks loose in reference to what we actually have in space?
It was more like, what are we trying to fight in space?
Yeah, what are we trying to fight? I would have loved to have been a coast-to-coast listener just to hear what the fuck the crazies were saying there. Oh, that would have been gold.
I don't know. If you ask me, it's going to get like way more interesting in the coming weeks because there's going to have to be a follow up. A lot of people are saying that they can't do it, that they're not going to do it because there's too much involved in developing something like that over the course of a presidential term. It takes years to get all the funding and all the to start a new branch. And at some point, Congress tried to introduced Space Corps, I think last year, and one of the generals shot it down and said it wasn't going to work, and couldn't work or something like that. So who knows? Either way, he signed an executive order. I don't know how good that executive order is, but the fact that there's a United States president in front of a large group of people saying Space Force just blew my mind. I was like, he said Space Force. He said the word spaceship. And I was like, oh my God. You don't say that. You say space shuttle, you can say rocket, you can say probe, you can say all that. He said spaceship. He said
Thank you, Mr. President, for making. Yeah, thank you, Mr. President Trump, for making something more stupid sounding than anything George Bush Jr. could have ever said in his life.
It's like first my Caps win, and then I get Space Force. I am so happy. I was like, "Oh, is this real life?" I had to pinch myself. I was like, "Is this real life?"
This is hysterical.
I'm so happy. I love it. I love it. I absolutely adore this. This is great. This is giving like credence to all the crazies and like everybody. We're gonna have stuff to talk about for a long time.
And we thought we wore tinfoil hats on this show. Woo! Now this one takes the cake. This takes the cake, folks. We might have stuff to talk about for months. Go ahead.
We need to make that shirt. We still need to make that shirt, though.
Which one?
The Long Coat Mafia Tinfoil Hat Club.
I want to see. Let's see.
We definitely need that one.
To kind of go into our usual meat and potatoes sort of thing, have you been following any of the Fortnite bullshit that's been going on?
Nope, I stopped playing Fortnite.
Yeah, you have. Then let me fill you in with what's been happening with Fortnite. Let's go with what Sony has to say about Fortnite, shall we? Basically, as all of you out there know and realize, including Big Candy, Fortnite is a cross-platform game. And for the most part, what Epic Games, the people that brought you Fortnite, have done is that if you went from a PC version of the game to a Xbox version of the game or a Nintendo version of the game, any skins or character changes that you've gotten or anything you've gotten for that character or your account is easily transferred over. As you notice, I didn't say Sony. And the reason why is Sony has stated that if you start an account for Fortnite on our system, our PS4 system, or our console, the PS4, you will not be able to transfer your account over to an Xbox, PC, or Nintendo Switch. So you might be able to play. And when they people called Sony out on it in reference to, well, it's a cross-platform game. They said, well, it's a cross-platform game, but we're not allowing you to. In essence, what it boils down to is Sony saying, yes, you could cross-platform play, but you can't cross-platform transfer. We're not allowing that. Yet,
right.
What everybody else from Microsoft and Nintendo and the PC version, everybody else is playing fair, but Sony in regards to this. And Sony's been taking a nasty dig. And the funniest thing, Nintendo went savage on Sony. Guess what they did? Yes, Nintendo. Little old Nintendo was savage against Sony. Basically, they put out an advert. It was for Minecraft, and at the basically they kind of set it on the side, and it came off as very savage, subtle but savage. So pretty much they went, here's Minecraft. Minecraft is on Nintendo Switch. Play it on the Nintendo Switch. Don't forget the Minecraft Nintendo Switch. It was like a whole 36-second ad. And the red drops down, you hear click. Then the green drops down, you hear click. And the bottom of the green says Xbox One.
Oh.
So it was like, we play well with Xbox. What are you going to do, Sony? And so it was like we're saying we're willing to play with cross-platform games with Xbox. Sony ain't, and Xbox is willing to cross-play with us, but Sony ain't. So it was like that's what Nintendo was doing. They were the first ones to call out Sony without actually calling out Sony. How savage is that for Nintendo? Saying, hey, we're willing to play with your competitor, and they're our competitors too, but you don't want to play shit. That's savage. To me, that's savage.
They don't usually.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Hey. I hear you. Just that you dropped out for a quick second.
Oh, okay.
So, what were you saying?
I was saying usually Nintendo sits out of it. They don't really say anything. Like, they're not known for making comments.
Well, in a way, they didn't really make a comment. They made a comment without actually making a comment. That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. That's why it's so funny. And the second aspect of Fortnite news is that an Australian, it came out of Australia and kind of got blown up, saying that Fortnite, they pretty much attacked Fortnite, saying that it's the most violent game ever, and it causes kids to be more prone to violent activity.
I guess. Hello? I mean, I don't. How?
So, wait.
Hello. I think you dropped out again.
No, you kind of started speaking, and all of a sudden you dropped.
Okay.
Go ahead. What were you talking about in regards to Fortnite?
No, I was just commenting on what you said.
Go ahead. Just in case the listeners missed out on it or missed out on the full context.
I didn't really say anything. I didn't really say anything. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. So
I'm just kind of chiming in.
So, look at that. Let's see. For those of you who watched Rick and Morty or missed out on season 3, watching the season 3 episodes on YouTube, you'll be able to, starting tomorrow, or I should say later today. It says, the message I got from Hulu, this is, I guess to all their subscribers, saying Rick and Morty season 3 lands tomorrow. Rick and Morty fans rejoice, starting tomorrow, June 23rd. Stream season 3 of your favorite interdimensional duo on Hulu. And so that's good news if you want to watch all your favorite. Well, actually, it's today, so probably later today sometime, all of you people out there who love Rick and Morty, you'll be able to watch season 3 or catch up with season 3. So that's kind of good.
I think I watched season 3 about 16 times, though. But anyway.
There's a few episodes I want to rewatch, because when I watched like the current episode streaming, it was always the same episode every time I tuned in. I was like, come on. I've seen this episode 16 times already. I want to see something different. So
right.
And as always, you happy that they signed a 70-episode deal for Rick and Morty over the next couple of years?
Well, yeah, I'm happy. I mean, I'm glad they came to some conclusion, because it just seemed like it was dragging on with no real news. But I guess now, I guess they came to an agreement, and it's good. I'm glad that they're going to quench everybody's palate. Basically everybody really wanted more Rick and Morty, and now we're to get it.
And from what a lot of reports have said, because now we're getting the 70 episodes, or we have that 70 episode deal, instead of waiting a year and a half or 2 years or longer for a new season, we might have to wait maybe 6 months between a season, or a standard, okay, time to take a break for a few months, then we'll start a new season. So that's good to hear.
Yeah.
I
don't know. I don't think the quality is going to suffer, because I mean the writing is pretty much consistent with what the guy's been doing all along. If you followed his career from like what he was doing earlier till now, I mean he pretty much writes the same kind of jokes and stuff. I mean it's to him it's not going to be too complicated. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think some people might have been concerned with the quality, like, oh, if they're going to rush it, it's going to suck or something. But I think it'll be fine.
I'm starting to hear your. There we go.
What?
No, just that I caught the air conditioner and I heard a whole mess of the air conditioner going off and onto the mic. So nothing I can't edit out in post.
I hate that fucking. I don't like sitting in the room where it is, because it like turns on all the time.
So now
I like being in the room where I was before, but like I don't get a good signal there, so that's why I don't sit there anymore. Like, you think I'm dropping out now? I dropped out there a lot more.
And okay, all right, time to go on to start into the ranting and raving bullshit part of the show. As much as what we're going to cover is what we've been seemingly covering for the past couple of weeks and months, I don't want to cover it anymore. I'm sick and tired of covering out the same shit, but it keeps popping up like a dead horse. I don't wanna. And the first one up is, sadly, is the Disney Fox deal. Oh my god. But the thing is, recently this past week, Disney has first Comcast brought in a $65 billion deal. That's right, $1 billion. Cash money that for Fox.
They backed up a couple of dump trucks.
And what a lot of and this week Disney went, guess what, folks? We're going to top that. $71.3 billion. It's a combination of cash and stock. And the stock has been locked in at $38 a share. And if this goes through, the reason why I'm using words like if and when is because it's not a done deal yet, folks. No matter who says what, unless you're hearing it from probably the Washington Journal or the New York Times, it's not a done deal. And the reason why I say it's a 38 share stock is that's when they locked it in at. So when everything goes through, the current share value is $45 or $50. That's what they'll end up. In essence, Fox could be getting more than $71 billion at the end of the day. But here's what I mean by if and when. A lot of you out there who've been possibly following this, you might have heard that Fox accepted the bid. They might have accepted. They didn't really. A lot of that news outlets have been saying they have accepted the deal. No, they've accepted the bid. That means Comcast has to either say, no, that's, with everything you're bringing to the table, with the debt you have and all that, no, we don't want to be a part of that. We can't make up that loss in paying for it. So what Fox has said, they put out a release saying we've accepted Disney's new bid, not new deal. The deal is not a done deal yet. It won't be a done deal until Comcast says, no, we're out. Then the Federal Trade Commission comes in and says, okay, we'll approve it. And that will be another couple of months down the line. But a lot of people have been going out and saying, it's a done deal. We're getting the X-Men finally. We're getting the original Star Wars movies and the prequels. Yeah, it's not a done deal yet, folks. It's not. I'm not saying it's a done deal until I hear officially that Comcast has dropped, hasn't offered any more bids, and it's a done deal. And the Federal Trade Commission has come in and said, okie dokie, Disney's got it. And from what I've been hearing, Comcast has said if Comcast went through with the deal, and their bid was not only just accepted, the whole offer was went through, then there would have been issues with the Federal Trade Commission because of what Comcast is in essence a communications company. They're not a content company like Disney is. So they would have had a tougher time doing it. And so I'm going to pause and let Big Candy kind of weigh in right now on that.
No, I'm just agreeing with you.
Okay, I want to give you a voice and make sure everything is on the up and up. So
no, if I'm going to say something, I'll just say it. You don't have to pause for me.
I just want to make sure that because of the new setup, I want to make sure everything gets captured correctly and everybody gets, in essence, you get heard. So next up is. Again, I don't wanna. Why drag the poor man through the mud again? Is Stan Lee. I'm sure you heard the news out of the Stan Lee camp that's been happening over the past couple of weeks. But for some of you who have been living underneath that rock, let me fill you in. What happened a couple of weeks ago, and I've shared it on our Facebook page, is that Stan Lee's manager was arrested because it hasn't gone through trial yet. He was bailed out. I'm going to use our favorite word. Allegedly,
take a drink.
For filing a false report. Now, when you look into the bare bones basic of what's public record, is what happened was because there were so many reports that Stan Lee might have been abused, and his manager that he was so, as many of you might have seen on videos on Twitter and on Facebook, Stan Lee saying, I'm okay, I'm this and that, and trying to dispel all the rumors. The government, the LA folks wanted to check up on Stan Lee themselves because they were getting reports that he was being separated from his family. No contact was allowed from Stan Lee to his family, and the Stan Lee was not at his atypical home. He was in a townhouse or an apartment. So, in essence, they wanted to check up on Stan Lee without his manager around. They wanted to hear Stan Lee's words himself, that he's okay, there's no abuse, and he's able to do all the things that he's able to do. And while
there was a lot of rumors that he was being coerced and a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, and what they said, they went up to his place of residence. They spoke to the security guard and told the security guard, after identifying themselves and providing proper paperwork to the security guard, they said, okay, here's who we are, this is what we want, don't let anybody in. Nobody. We need a few minutes alone with Mr. Lee to speak to him ourselves. And during this time, his manager either found out about this, heard about it, or just by coincidence was rolling up to Stan Lee's place while they were doing their investigation, and he asked the security guard. The security guard stopped and said, you can't go inside. There's a few people inside that are talking to Mr. Lee. And even the security guard told the manager who the people inside were. So the manager did it upon himself, called 911, and said, people have broken into Stan Lee's place. I'm worried about him. Send over the cops. And that's the first report. And a couple of weeks later, the same manager went up to the security guard that was there that day and said, "You're going to keep this hush-hush, aren't you?" And the guard went, "No, I'm not." And he said, and I think I think one report said the manager tried to pay the security guard like $250 or something like that. The amount was really low, and it's like, yeah, like that's going to stop the security guard from saying okay, but there was some fallout between the security guard and the manager, or the manager wanted to give the security guard an NDA or something like that, and the security guard said no. So the manager called 911 and said the same basic thing. "Oh, there's a guy here trying to break in. I think he's armed." And they came back out, and it turns out it was the security guard that he was calling about. And so they went, "No, you're coming with us. You're getting arrested." And what happened at this point is that Stanley's family finally came in. They put a restraining order against the manager, which by the time you hear this has expired, and I think from what I was hearing, they've got it extended. So the restraining order is still in effect in regards to Mr. Lee's manager, and I think his manager still has to go to court in reference to these charges. So we'll hopefully, as much as we don't want to, but as soon as we know more, we'll let some of you know more as well. And oh dear God, I wish I could coin with. They're both going to be epic rants going on. Oh dear God, folks, get ready for some cringe. Basically,
cringe curtain.
Cringe curtain. Did you say cringe curtain?
I did.
Okay, just making clarification.
Have you seen what a cringe curtain is?
No, I have not.
So it's basically something that we could make for the show, but it's really just a little piece of fabric, almost like a napkin or a handkerchief. And it basically says cringe curtain on it and has a logo, whoever you want it to be. But you hold it up when somebody's saying something awful. You just hold it up in front of your face so you don't have to see it. The cringe curtain. It's cute. It's the greatest thing I think I've ever seen. Where I saw it was one of the things that my little son watches. It's called FGTV, Funnel Vision. And it's a family that does games together and stuff. But yeah, they got their own cringe curtains, because like when their dad says something weird, they all hold up the cringe curtain.
This week's moment of cringe is, I'm sure a lot of you heard, I know I've shared it. The reason why I didn't cover it in any of our previous episodes is because I wanted to kind of hear the other side, or want to wait at least the other side to come out first before I mention anything, so that way there's two sides to this to actually cover.
Possibly a dark side?
Possibly a dark side. And that is the whole Chris Hardwick situation. For those,
Lord.
Yes. For those of you who haven't heard, late last week, earlier this week, what was released is Chris Hardwick's ex-girlfriend. This was maybe going back to 2010, maybe 2011, in and around there. Give it a year or two. They were dating. They broke up. And this past week, his ex wrote a little essay or diatribe, or call it what you will, naming yet not naming Chris Hardwick in regards to being controlling and abusive. Now, the reason why it got out, wasn't meant to get out for the public to see it, but her current boyfriend pinned it to his Twitter page, and that's how it went viral. Because
I didn't hear that part.
Yes, it went viral. It was from what it was told to me.
I thought it was an interview.
No. She was just getting stuff off her chest and writing it out. And he put it, not Chris Hardwick, her current boyfriend, put it out on Twitter, pinned it to the top of his page, and that's how it went viral. And so there have been people that I've heard, this is what I've heard. Now, this is hearsay, and I'm going to use our favorite word, so take a drink now, allegedly.
Take a drink.
And according to some who knew both her and Chris Hardwick when they were dating, have said that yes, Chris Hardwick can be kind of controlling, but as far as they know, there was no real evidence or no evidence that they've seen in reference to being him either abusive or sexually abusive to her. So there's that. And let's see here. The ex has stated that she has voicemails proving her case. Now, before proving that what she said in her little rant and her writings about this so-called person, this alleged person, is true. Now, if it is, let me say this, from what I've heard, if it is Chris Hardwick, and she does release the voicemails, Chris Hardwick, because both parties live in California, it's considered a two-party state, which means unlike kind of what West Virginia is, if I'm in a public place or I'm sure if at home, I can record somebody without their knowledge and not tell them, because there has to be one person who knows about the recording, me.
Right.
And I know for a fact from at least a few officers saying that you're allowed to record another party, meaning if it's out in public, like a park or a parking lot or out in the open on a sidewalk, you can record them all you want because it's in a public spot. Only one party has to know it and accept it, and that's you. And in California, both parties have to know about the recording. And since he didn't know about the recording, he can in essence sue her in regards to everything that illegal recording has to offer. So, now, but here's the aspect. He released recently his text messages between him and her. The first message was from him to her saying, please, in essence, please leave me alone. We're done. In essence, boils down to we're a done deal. I don't want to speak to you no more. We're over this. You have a boyfriend. I'm looking for somebody new. We're done. In essence, that's what it boiled down to. And the tweets after that, spending, from the looks of it, and from what I've seen, it spans over a day or two of, I want to come back, please take me back, I want to come back, please return my calls, answer me, speak to me, I want to be your boyfriend, I want you to be my boyfriend again, I want to be your girlfriend, please talk to me. This is all from her. So, the ball is now in her court, but the damage has already been done to Chris Hardwick. I don't know, because AMC canceled his season 2 of Talking with Chris Hardwick already. That's done. Season 2's done. They haven't renewed it. The San Diego Comic-Con has canceled. I don't think they canceled his panels. They canceled him hosting those panels.
Right.
And I don't know. I haven't heard anything about his Walking Dead, Talking Dead shows. I haven't heard anything about those yet.
Those are gone.
I'm sure they're gone too.
And he lost a lot of stand-up dates. There was something else too. Nerdist Industries, they basically disavowed any knowledge of him ever existing.
Yeah, that was the other thing.
Yeah.
But that's the basic. The ball is right now is in her court again because he, in essence, released without saying too much. But the text messages kind of reveal his side of things a little bit, but not too much. So the ball is already in her court right now, and from what I've heard, Chris Hardwick's wife has already chimed in on, I think, backing him up and siding with him. Not to mention, his wife is a kind of like a real estate heir, and she has like money.
Yeah, she's the heir to the what is it? It's a fortune. It's Patty. Oh, what was her? Patty Hearst. William Randolph Hearst, the newspaper mogul.
Right, and it's not just that, and it's also real estate as well. So even if now.
He married more money than you and I will ever think of.
Right, he's not going to be hurting for cash. So I'll be interested in how things fall. If his career's
over, so what?
Right.
I mean, it sucks because it's what he likes to do, but and he did create like an empire himself, which is really is an awesome thing. But it really looks to me like the hashtag or hashtag Me Too, or as a friend of mine called it, Pound Me Too movement, has ruined him.
Right. It might have, but... And the whole thing is, it's one, why didn't she come out sooner in regards to this? She had ample... I'm not saying if this allegation is true. I'm not saying it's right. But again, with a lot of these accusations that are out there, she said her career has already been... his ex's career, his ex already said, "Oh, my career has been ruined. If I came out sooner, he said he'd ruin me or he'd blacklist me." Her career is not, when you look it up on IMDb, is not all that to begin with. So, no matter what, she was struggling as it is. So she could have just came out. He's not like this mega producer or this high-end person with all these mega connections that someone else, like the head of Fox or head of Miramax, might have had, or something like that.
But like we just talked about, he married into a lot of money. I don't know if there was a ulterior motive here, somebody trying to get at that money by releasing that information, possibly a lawsuit, or possibly even shut up money, like a blackmailing or something like that. I don't know. But
I could see what you're saying, that his ex finally realized, okay, the marriage is lasting. Let's see if I could get some shut up money or silence money, and let's kind of, even though I'll make this writing and I'll make these accusations, these so-called accusations, whether or not they're true or not, we'll have to see. But it's one of those things. I'm not going to sit here and blame the victim, kind of thing.
Right. Like she may have a valid claim for all I know. I don't know anything. I don't know him in his own personal life how he is. I have no idea. But there's just, it reeks of what's been going on lately in the media. It reeks of everything that's been happening to.
And it came out at the perfect. It came out at the perfect time too. Right before the season 2 came out, right before SDCC, and it was the perfect time to kind of wreck his career.
But what really stinks is okay, what happened to him is really terrible because whether it's true or not, I don't know.
Right. Same
but
here.
there's somebody out there like Terry Crews. I don't know if you've heard about this.
Yeah.
But it happened to him on the other end. But when he tries to make a claim, nobody pays attention.
Right. That's the thing.
Or what happened to Brendan Fraser? Same thing. He came out maybe a couple weeks ago and said that he was harassed in Hollywood. Somebody, put their hands down his pants or something like that. And no one wants to believe him. No one wants to say anything. No one will accept that that's his truth, But the second a woman, and I hate to say this, but the second a woman says something in Hollywood, it ends a person's career.
Right, and that's the major.
Nuts.
I'm not. Again, I'm going to say this right here, officially. Sexual assault, no matter whether it's to a woman or to a man, is wrong. Just that the hypocrisy is that, as Big Candy states, that if it's done to a woman, it's career ending for a man. It's wrong. It shouldn't have happened to begin with, but it's career ending. It's the whole 9 yards is taken out. His name's dragged through the mud, no matter who it is. Lawsuits, criminal charges, you name it, it is done. But if it's the reverse, it happens to a man, which is equally wrong. It's treated like a joke. Nothing happens. Oh, we can't do that. Or you hear their excuse. Women have been doing it for years, having to be dealt with it for years, so they shouldn't have to be charged for it. No, if it's against the law, if it's criminal for anybody to shoot somebody else, if I get jail time for shooting another person, another man, or a man shoots a woman, there's jail time. There should be jail time if a woman shoots a man. Not, gender has nothing to do with it. Sexual assault is sexual assault. If you do it, your name should be dragged through the mud nonetheless. Yep. Fair game. Fair game. If you don't like it, tough shit. But the thing is, it's what I'm going to be a little hypocritical myself. What tends to happen is you tend to see a couple of claims out there, or you'll hear some women. Oh, he wants his coat back. Claim he raped you. Oh, the sex wasn't that good. Claim he raped you.
Yeah, that's one the regret one.
The regret.
It's like, oh man, I had too much to drink, and I slept with this guy. Well, he raped me. It's like, no, you made a bad decision.
So,
well, just like that Aziz Ansari thing that came up several months ago, I thought that was absolute just BS. Like, that girl could have got up and left at any point during that night if she felt uncomfortable. Yet she had sex with him like 3 times and then was wondering why he was advancing on her. Like, lady, you can't sit there if you're not comfortable. You have legs, you can leave.
Right.
Well, Sherman should have legs, okay?
Right. Well, if she was in the wheelchair, she could easily turned off the brakes and started rolling down the street. But
well, you could roll away.
Right.
You have arms, you can crawl away. If you're a quadriplegic, you can ask the nurse to roll you away.
To move on to some much better hate and ranting and raving. And again, I don't know if you heard about this, Big Candy, but it kind of blew up yesterday on Twitter that a bunch of producers have come out and said that they want to remake Star Wars: The Last Jedi, and that they're able a lot. Now here's the thing. Seth Rogen has come out and said, he came out and asked, what do you have to produce in reference to this? Do you have a script? Do you have concept art? Do you have X, Y, and Z? He was asking valid questions, and they pretty much said, we have nothing yet. And he asked them, then how did you get these investors to fund this project, or to give you movie money for this project? And their response was, Star Wars is such a strong brand and such a well-known brand, they're willing to bank on that alone.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people have come out. Now, before I get into that, Rian Johnson himself, the man who wrote and directed The Last Jedi, has come out and sarcastically stated, please, let's do this. Now, two things. What he's doing is not really two things. The main thing is he is causing a divide in the fandom by being sarcastic, if he's being sarcastic. I'm giving him that benefit of the doubt. If he's being sarcastic, he's doing the one thing no one should do, and it's what the person behind diversity and comics brings up every single time. You cannot, if you're working with a company, you cannot further insult the fans. You cannot hammer that divide, which the Lucasfilm has already been doing, is hammering that divide deeper and deeper and deeper by insulting the fan base and encouraging this epic divide that's out there. And even though there have been two groups of people behind this, that's a good chunk of the people saying that this is a hoax, this is a scam. If they have to fundraise through either Kickstarter or Indiegogo, any additional funds, it's a scam. They're going to take it and run with it. And there's a bunch of people who have come out and said they've done their due diligence, they've looked into the people behind this, and they know the people behind this. It's not a scam, they're serious, it's not a hoax, but it's all up to you. If they do an Indiegogo, if you want to help fund it, help fund it. If you don't want to help fund it, you don't have to help fund it. If you think it's a scam and you don't want to put in your $10 or your $15 or $5, you don't have to do that. So that's that. But it's they've been saying.
Well, I think it's hilarious because it really shows how damaging, and I'll say that, how damaging The Last Jedi was to the entire franchise, that people are willing to have you ever heard of this before?
What?
An immediate remake? Somebody going, oh my god, that movie sucks so bad, it's a redo. It's literally let's just forget this one ever happened and make another.
Never, not this soon.
Never in the history of film.
That's this soon.
Jarring and bad that movie was.
I'll say this. One, not only have I never, has this ever been done for this soon for any movie. Pick a movie. Any movie. Yeah. From Godzilla
Halloween
to
3, Season of the Witch.
For Halloween, no matter, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah, Julian, it doesn't matter the movie. Toss a dart, Airwolf, I don't care. Life Force for that. This has never been done before.
So many doors.
By the way, side note, I just bought that on Vudu today, so I have a digital copy. But
remake that. They need to remake that for real.
A remake has never been offered up onto the table this soon for any movie 6 months out after a movie. Number one. Number two, this has never been done to a Star Wars film ever. Ever. So
it's so bad. I mean, literally, it's that jarring and terrible.
And the thing is,
what are they thinking? They completely, if you really look at it, and I watched it again with my wife maybe about a month ago, and it was when it came out on demand, so she got it and we watched it because she hadn't seen it. She didn't go see it in theaters. I really realized upon watching it one more time just how bad it was. The initial shock of me sitting in the theater, I took away so much from that it was, I just was so pissed off I couldn't really see the forest for the trees. But when I watched it again, I really, really witnessed how bad this movie is and what it did to the franchise. In one movie, they pretty much just nullified every everything that you were led to believe for 40 years. How old is Star Wars? Like 40 some years old?
Yeah.
Like everything that you believed and loved about that movie for 40 some years, and, like literally like just went down the toilet.
Now here's the thing, because of the Last Jedi, and it's a fact that the Blu-ray sales for Last Jedi have been plummeting for the past ever since it came out. The Blu-ray sales have not been selling. These are a fact. The diehard media, the fans, the media is again blaming. They're ignoring everybody else that hates it and pinning on everything on the straight, white, 40-something males in regards to this. And that's also these, and Lucasfilm is also blaming the so-called quote-unquote boycott. Now, speaking of that, and the suckiness that was, I want to say this, it was an okay movie. I will say this. It was, again, I'll go on record and say Ron Howard did his best for Solo. Alright? It's not the greatest, but he did his best. I'm going to give him acknowledgement on that. It was an okay film, but he did his best. Because of that, and I guess the low DVD sales, now here's what happened. It was leaked that the remaining Star Wars stories were either put on hold, or canceled. Now, later that day, Disney went to ABC News and released information saying, "Oh no, they got it wrong. They're not, put on hold or canceled. No. That their outlet is wrong." Now, here's the thing. From what I was told, a lot of big companies what they tend to do is they go to one source, leak some information, or leak what they might have planned to do, like either put a bunch of movies on hold, then go to another more reputable source and say, "No, they're wrong." Both leaks or both reports are true. They just want to gauge kind of the reaction. They're testing the waters. So both things can be true. They just want to see where the bigger reaction is. And where
right.
This is Disney seeing where the fans lie, where the cards lie. This is not. Both could be true. They might be thinking of canceling and put things on hold, but not really. They're probably thinking of both. They want. This is a way of them putting a poll out there without actually putting a poll out there per se. And it's a way to test the waters. I think a lot of big businesses like Disney do this. They might say, should we cancel a show? Shouldn't we cancel? Should we really cancel a show? And they'll leak this out like in various news sources saying that, such and such network is thinking canceling a show. Fans will get outraged, or if it's really popular, and they're like, "Okay, then Nielsen's wrong. We're getting a lot of flack in regards to this. Let's not cancel it. Let's renew it." And that might have been their plan all along to renew it. They just wanted to actually hear something from the fans. So this could go either way, but something like this tends to right now aggravate the fans a lot because you have. Ever since Last Jedi and Solo, the fans have been split. They are literally at each other's throats. I saw one meme in regards to everything being put on hold and canceled, saying that in regards that this is all the boycotters' faults, and these are all the people that didn't watch Solo and all this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, come on, the news. Please let both sides have their say right now in reference to if it's fact or fiction. And I had one person tell me the reason why there's hate for Solo still is because of nostalgia. Believe it or not. And Big Candy, you still there?
Yeah.
And, I'm just making sure. When I came confronted him, he's like, "All right, what do you mean by nostalgia? The reason why the fans are up in arms and they're hateful against Last Jedi is because they're born from they're brought up from nostalgia from the original trilogy and the prequels. I went, all right, okay, then answer me this. I'm going to ask you a straight up question. Tell me if there's a whole new group of fans that came in as, they weren't fans of Star Wars prior to Force Awakens. They came in at Force Awakens. They loved what they see. They were hungry for more new content. They saw Rogue One. They were told by fans, you got to watch the original. They don't have nostalgia. They don't have any nostalgia. And all of a sudden, Last Jedi came out, and they went, this is a piece of shit. This is garbage. What the fuck is Last Jedi? What are they doing? And they decided, you know what? We're out. We're not buying the expanded universe, any books. We're not going to see any more movies. We're out. We're done. We're not buying anything. When the DVD comes out for Last Jedi, nope, we're not going to buy it. When the Blu-rays and DVDs come out for Solo, we're not going to buy it. We're not going to rent it. What do you have to say about that? Them hating it, the new fans hating it, not wanting to see it. There's not nostalgia. He had no answer. Literally had no answer.
Because listen, here's the thing. Now let's go back to the 90s and the early 2000s. Well, I guess the late 90s, when the prequels came out. Okay, fans were hungry for new Star Wars, and the reaction to the prequels was disappointment. A lot for the most part, especially with the Jar Jar Binks character. A lot of the political stuff people didn't like, but overall, and I'll say this because looking back, those prequels look like gold compared to these new movies. Overall, though, those stories were accepted into the Star Wars canon, and people eventually came around. I think people eventually came around and liked the prequels, not as much as the originals, but still. Because look at it reflected in the toy sales. It reflected in the VHS and DVD sales at the time, and Blu-ray later. There was always something new coming out. It eventually gave us Clone Wars, the animated series, and some other cool stuff, like some of the books and stuff, and some of the video games had a lot of the prequel storyline stuff in it. So we were entertained by the prequels, and people accepted them. You didn't hear anything about a remake of Attack of the Clones.
And the thing is, here's another thing. When it comes to even though everybody kind of liked The Force Awakens, no one's really buying those toys still. And the Last Jedi stores, toys, they're still on the shelves. They're not buying the toys.
That's the whole point I'm trying to make. Because they did this giant marketing campaign based on what happened with the prequels. Because the prequels, I don't know if you remember, when they came out, the toys, even though the movies weren't being thoroughly accepted, the toy lines were still being sold, and people were buying the shit out of them. And putting them away or reselling them. They did, all kinds of new toys, new characters, all kinds of new vehicles, blasters, Lego sets, all kinds of stuff. And they were selling great for years. This new story, it stopped dead in its tracks. Now, you can also say that kids are buying less toys on average because of video games and because of online culture. I get that, but the adults aren't buying them either. The hardcore collectors and the people that are really into Star Wars, they're not buying them either. They're not buying anything. The closest thing they had to a hit was the BB-8 character, and BB-8 kind of got thrown by the wayside in this new one.
For the Porgs or whatever the heck.
Yeah, which were really just not even that great of a character, but they could have highlighted a BB-8 story a lot better and had more interactions with BB-8 with Poe in this new one, like they did in Force Awakens. But they dropped the fucking ball on BB-8. It could have been the new R2-D2, but they screwed that up too. This is what I'm saying. Going back and noticing all the stuff that they screwed up on. and noticing all the plot points that they missed and all the stuff that they abandoned, it's insane. It is insane. It's almost like they had this opportunity like hanging in front of their face. They had a guidepost. It was called Timothy Zahn and his stories going forward with his books. They had a guidepost, and guess what? They completely abandoned those stories and went the other way.
Or they could have just abandoned those stories, but kind of still referenced those stories in a way, and that's number one.
It was commonly accepted. It was commonly accepted that in extended universe or not, it was commonly accepted that that was. I mean, look at all the comic books that came out during the time that those books were coming out, and during the time of the prequels. It was like you had all those characters. Thrawn was a character.
Right, like, and not to mention
they're still making Thrawn books now. I bought Thrawn #1 earlier this year.
Now the thing is, back when the prequels were being made,
that's how beloved those characters are.
Now here's the brilliance, and a lot of people are like, "Well, you're being nostalgic." Fuck you. Number one. Number two. Back when the prequels were coming out, even Lucas, when he was developing the prequels, went, you know what? Where can we go for a base of a story? Oh yeah, the EU, and that's where he went. He even put in. That's exactly where he went. And the thing is, he even acknowledged the cosplay group, the 501st, by putting them in the Clone Wars. He acknowledged them. Yeah, that's the thing, and Kathleen Kennedy, being the bitch that she is, let me state this right now. If the person who is in charge is worthy to be in charge, and it actually wants to do a good job and does a good job and has the credentials to be in that position, is whether they're male, female, polka dot, other, should be in that spot. Okay? They should not be in that spot because you're checking off a box.
Right.
And the thing is, you don't want, I can't draw for worth a shit. Doesn't mean you should be hiring my fat, pasty white ass to draw for either Marvel or DC simply because I'm a pasty white fat.
It goes right back to the milkshake girls, doesn't it? Goes right back to that shit. Hiring somebody for checking off a goddamn box. It's fucked up. And it's fucked up for a lot of reasons. It's fucked up because they're talentless, number one, but it's also fucked up because they don't have any concept of fandom and what those stories actually mean to people. Like, believe it or not, Star Wars got popular because it was an interesting movie, but then it got legendary because a lot of people took a lot of things from it. You don't have Star Wars conventions for years and people getting married and naming their kids after characters because the story is okay. You do that because it actually touches people in a way that things that, so you have to, and I hate to say this, but you have to treat these things with kid gloves. You can't just go making the Last Jedi and ruining an entire saga with one movie.
Now, I will say this. Granted, the Star Wars movies aren't... There's classic, yes. They're not perfect movies in their own right. But I will say this.
That's not the point, though.
That's not the point, right. But the thing is, a lot of people have said, well, you shouldn't be complaining. You gotta watch these movies. No. Yes, I am a fan. Well, you gotta watch these fans. If you're a fan, I have one, I am a fan. Number two, because I'm a fan, I have the right to complain about bad product, no matter how badly it's written. I know what, as much as I'm not behind the scenes in the industry, I know about the industry because people talk to me about the industry. That's how I know about the industry. privy to some inside information because I speak to those people in the know. How do I know about hockey and basketball? I speak to you, Big Candy. I speak to Lloyd. People who know about hockey and basketball. That's how I learn about the sport. How do I learn about punk music and being how a band operates? I talk to you. I talk to Lloyd. Lloyd is a drummer. You're a guitarist. And how the band thing relates. Who's a good drummer? Who's a good guitarist? This is how I learn about music industry, the history behind it. This is what, what books to read behind, the history. This is the information. This is how I learn. This is how I'm able to, get behind in regards to the movie industry, because I listen to people who are in the industry and know better than to regurgitate the same BS. They're outside and they're like, wait a minute, the reason why this is happening is because of X, Y, and Z, not A, B, and C. Now, as a fan, I have a right to complain about bad product. I might be a fan of McDonald's. If the McDonald's near me puts out a bad batch of fries and a bad batch of burgers, I'm going to complain about that bad batch of burgers and fries, especially if they make me sick. So, I don't have to eat there again if I say a whole mess of cockroaches and rats. I'm not saying the ones near me have cockroaches. I'm just saying if I go into that McDonald's and see a whole mess of cockroaches and rats, I'm not eating there again. And as much as people said, well, you have to eat there, you're a fan of McDonald's. No, they got cockroaches and rats in the building. Why the fuck do I want to eat there?
Cockroaches and rats. That's great. No, but my whole thing is this, and this is what is so confusing to me, is they had, like I said, they had the Road to Success basically printed out in the EU for them. Years, and it was accepted. It was accepted by the fans. It was created by the fans. It was accepted by the fans and people like that knew the stories, that got the essence of what Star Wars is. They understood the lore. They understood all the stuff that was made up, all the stuff that people thought up and put in books and stuff. There was already a story there. That's what hurts the most. Is that the fact that there was already a story in place. And George Lucas, for years, rejected it. And then here we come with a new batch of movies, and they're going to try something new. They're going to write new stories and kick out all this other information that basically was canon and that people accepted as the Star Wars universe. So what happens now? Are they going to go back and say, we were wrong, we're sorry, let's start over? This is what really happened. And then they just make the EU canon all over again? Or, are they going to write something else that's equally as fucking bad? It's scary what they're doing. I almost wish that they would just stand by their horrible product, finish this shit out and be done with it, and then let us continue to imagine and do our own thing and not have to worry about what they put on screen. Because I was almost happier after the prequels came out and then there was just, everything, all the books and everything everybody made up, and it was all just conjecture, and we didn't think we were going to get any more movies. That, almost looking back, now it's fine. Now I would have been if I would have known what was going to come out instead of what we all wanted, I would have said, just do without it. Because this new product, save for a couple of characters and a couple of ideas, it's just garbage. Just absolute garbage from front to back. And what they did to the story and the characters is just it's criminal. It really is. They took the soul of a film that people really loved and just ripped it right the fuck out. And now somebody, it's so bad that people who love it so much are trying to salvage it. They're trying to salvage it by doing a remake within a year of the release of the last one. That says something. That speaks volumes.
I'm not trying to delay, folks. It's just that I wanted to see what else we have to cover or could cover. But Facebook is being the diehard bitch-ass motherfucking app that it is. And it's being slower than goddamn hell. Big Candy, you still there?
Yep.
Okay, just making sure. So, everything's coming out okay. Just that this, again, folks, this new setup gives us a little bit of a... let's cover this. As I want to end on a... to kind of go away from this vile darkness that is this, because I'm sick and tired of it. Just keeps coming back up because it keeps coming up as news. There was a petition put out. It's a video. I'm not gonna. A group of people. I want to hear your thoughts on this. Facebook is being a diehard bitch. Basically, a group of parents. You probably seen.
Oh my god! I know what this is. I know exactly what this is.
They're petitioning Marvel to put the Hulk in a bra, simply because they're afraid that teens will be aroused of his massive green titties. So
I'm going to quote the response that I saw at the bottom of that one. Who's getting off on Hulk titties? Really? What parents group collectively, and this is collectively because they put together a petition, is looking at the Hulk, and the first thing they see is not a green, genetically altered creature that's like badass or like, evil or hurt, could hurt anybody he wants or what. Who's looking at that and going, damn, look at them titties? Like, y'all are strange. It's like those people that sit around and watch Disney movies waiting for penises to pop up. I gotta wonder what you're actually sitting there looking at,
Well, I'm gonna read the first comment with
till they noticed all I ever saw was a Disney movie. They're the ones looking for dicks.
Let me read you the first comment that popped up underneath this little video / article thing. So I guess it's a person, a guy, a dude, because his first name is Clayton. He said, "What? Aroused? The Hulk's jade, supple breasts glistening with the salty sweat after a testosterone-fueled rage fight with some Adonis-shaped figure, both planting heavily after the final blows have been landed with frenzied animalistic ferocity." Excuse me for a moment.
Yeah,
he was saying it just simply as a joke, but
right.
But I mean, it is stupid. It is epically. It seems like parents got to complain about something, and as we were talking about earlier in regards to the Fortnite stuff, it's being too violent. Folks, please be advised, the video games you buy for your children have a rating system on them, and it goes like this. E is for everyone, which means that the movie equivalent is G. That's what it is. It's made for everyone. All ages could play this game, from the adults in their 60s to all the way down to the 5-year-olds. Then you have the T rating, which is the teen, which is the equivalent of a PG or a PG-13. They're good for teens to all the way on up. The M rating, which you tend to buy your 12-year-old child or your 9-year-old child that wants to tell me that they slept with my dead mother, or that I am either some racial slur that you're buying for, is an M-rated game. A game that is not suitable for someone of their age group. You are buying this for them. And the one above that is AO. It's called, and it stands for adults only. No console company will touch an AO rated game. Period. If you want to put more restrictions on the aspect of an M-rated game, force the IDs. But the thing is, the parents are the ones, you stupid motherfuckers, not saying Big Candy is, or his missus.
No, I'm definitely in that group. I'm definitely in that group. Like, Caleb plays like friggin' like those jump scare games all the time, and that's my fault.
I'm just saying there's a lot of stupid ass, but you're still a responsible group, that person and parent that will at least monitor what your kid is playing and how they're playing it. But there's a lot of folks that, I'm going to buy my 10-year-old child Grand Theft Auto 5 and Call of Duty, and because they asked for it, and they're going to wander off to wherever while the kid's in the room calling and like, yeah, you motherfucker, I slept with your mama last week. You stupid, blankety blank and racial slur. I knew somebody online. Let me put it like this. I fear her as much as I fear Crystal. Literally. I say that is because I said I went to a roller derby flea market. There was they had a flea market for the sponsor of their roller derby. Her response was, "You went where?" I went, I am in deep shit. My response immediately was, how deep shit I am in. You didn't come out here to New York and sponsor my roller derby team. You're lucky I'm not coming out there to kick your fucking ass. I was like, oh shit. I'm willing to believe this. And she said, remember, my husband's an army medic. Oh fuck. That means she'll have her husband patch me up so she can whoop my ass again. Fuck.
Right. Well, no, here's the thing. With the games for Caleb, I do monitor what he plays. I don't let him play anything with bad language or anything like that. A lot of the stuff that he plays is stuff that he sees on little shows that he watches on YouTube that other kids play, and so he'll want to play it too. Mainly he sticks to Roblox, or really he's been playing a lot of Roblox and a lot of this game called Granny, but it's got violence in it, but it's I don't know, it's cartoony violence. I don't think it's really that crazy. A lot of people say that it's horrible because there's blood, but he always says, they got the ketchup packets on me. He always just makes fun of it. But I don't think for a second that he thinks that stuff is real. Because if he did, and he's asked me before, he's like, what happens? Blah, blah, blah. He knows what it looks like when somebody gets hurt, and he knows the difference between good and bad. So if he sees somebody getting hurt on a game that is bad or something like that, he'll react to it in the way he should. But he doesn't take. He doesn't I like the violence, you know what I'm saying? He's not obsessed with the violence or anything like that. Yeah, there is one game that I don't like him. Well, two games I don't like him playing. There's one called called Buddy or something. And basically it's it's almost like a little bear, like a stuffed animal bear, and you can choose different weapons to kill him with. Now that one, I saw him playing one day and I was like, Caleb, I really don't like you playing this, because it's the whole point is just to kill this bear as violently as possible. That game, I would say, over Fortnite any day, is super violent. Fortnite to me is a strategy game. Fortnite to me is it's you versus 100 people. You're just trying to survive. You're trying to the fact that you shoot other people plays a part, yes, but it's not like when you're shooting them there's blood flying all over the place. There's no blood in the game. It's just you shoot. It's you shoot them, and you see points fly up. or like, how much health is coming off of them, and then they simply fall to the ground and they are erased by a little drone or something. It's like it's the least violent thing I've ever actually seen as far as like a shooting game. Like in Call of Duty, pretty much you're dying in a pile of your own blood, right?
Not really.
Fortnite, I think is pretty. Well, I'm just saying. Either way, Fortnite is pretty innocent in that factor.
Right, and it's like what we were trying to get at before is that with a game like Call of Duty, it doesn't make me violent. I know better. I'm sure Caleb knows better. It's the aspect of when I'm playing Call of Duty. Speaking of which, it was announced that some of the original maps that was in the first Black Ops is coming out for Black Ops 4, and I'm ecstatic. I wasn't really ecstatic for the new Black Ops 4 game because it's just going to be nothing but multiplayer, but I'm ecstatic now because of a lot of the older maps are coming back. So, yay! God damn it, my money's going to be spent again. It's all in October, motherfucker. God damn you, movies and video games.
The one we're looking forward to that we saw at E3 was Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. We can't wait for that.
I can't wait for Black Ops, Red Dead Redemption 2, and Kingdom Hearts 3. So I could kiss my money goodbye.
And all your time, too.
Yeah, all my time. Wait. The Godfather plays video games? Yes, I'm trying to play video games now. At least try to get back into it. One of the things I want to bring up, it was brought to my attention today, because, I won't say today because it's officially the 23rd when we record this. So on Friday, about late Friday night, early Friday morning, it was brought to my attention through a lot of the Otacon forums, because a lot of people were saying, we're worried about going to the show, anybody want to pair up and go to the show and for safety reasons and so forth and so on. I'm like, wait a minute, what the fuck's going on with Otacon? What's going on? Was somebody making threats? Or I want to know. Yes, I still want to go. I'm dying to get the press pass. There's loads of people I want to interview, both celebrity wise and fan wise, and I want to bring all of you great content out there. And having that press pass will be a benefit, and fingers are crossed in regards to this, but odds are looking better than, way better than AwesomeCon was. So I'm still waiting. It might be another week or two before we're notified in regards to a press pass, but we'll see. Fingers are crossed, everyone. But what came out is that there is going to be a alt-right or a white rights rally about a little over 2 miles away from the convention center. So,
rights?
Yeah, I've heard alt-right, and I heard a white right rally being held at that little park in front of the White House, that little square. Let me bring up the article for more information. Let's see. Yeah, Facebook app wants to bring up the freaking article. Let me just say while it's loading up, the promoters of Otacon and the people at the convention center know about this, and they say they have put out statements saying that they know about it, two, that they have there's plenty of security in place at the convention center and around DC to keep things at hand, and there's plenty of surveillance cameras and security cameras around, so please do not be worried. Go to the show, come on down to the show, have fun. That's what they are there for. And Otacon is a show based on inclusion and fun and celebration of fandom. And I stand with them in regards to that. It is any major convention, whether it be AwesomeCon, Wizard World, Otacon, one of Match 4 States events, or Baltimore Comic-Con, they're always about inclusion and celebrating a fandom. So, and security is always always, and all the shows, from events like Otacon all the way down to a 4-state event put on by Matt, security and your safety is their number one priority. And the second priority is bringing you the best enjoyable event that you can have. So please go to these events. Don't worry about it. Yes, if you're concerned about your safety and everything, pair up. Go to the Otacon forums on Facebook. And there's plenty of topics saying that if you want to pair up, you want to do meetups, a fan meetup at a particular hotel, these events are being organized by the fans going to this event. So please don't get worried. Go to the event if you want to go. Have fun. Have fun. That's what they're there for. And I'm encouraging you to go. So. Yep.
Now, I want to take just a second to say, a lot of things that we say on this show may be controversial. They may be opinionated. They may be, me personally, I'm not going to speak for the Rev, but a lot of things I may say or feel are more right-leaning, more conservative, more libertarian than he may like or accept or feel personally, but that's my opinion. And the other thing is, neither of us believe in white supremacy. Neither of us believe in the alt-right movement. Those people are identity politics people. They are white nationalists, white supremacists, whatever you want to say. And our show's not about that. Our show's about inclusion. Our show is about love, for geek culture, and that comes in all shapes and forms and genders. And we're, this being Pride Month, we're very, we like to say that we're friends of and allies of the people in the movement of LGBTQ and trans and all that stuff. So, where we may say some things sometimes that may sound controversial, we try our best not to be assholes.
But even though it comes across that we may be assholes, we try to give both sides of the story, and that's why we try to include all of you in on the conversation. In regards to providing our email, our social media accounts, and ways for you to contact us so you could be included in that conversation as well. And there's a lot of times where, I've said it before, I'll admit there have been times I've literally bullshitted through a conversation to see who's paying attention. So, and yeah, me and Big Candy have been at odds, and there have been times where me and Zombie Bunny have been at odds. But everybody has their opinion and their respected opinions in regards to everything. And as much as I might disagree with Big Candy, and the times that we might agree on a lot of topics, we have the right to disagree. And sometimes I would rather have Big Candy disagree. That way, you're getting both sides, or at least another side to the argument. So
exactly. And at the end of the day, we can disagree and still go off and have a beer.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We're not going to sit here and be so entrenched in our opinion and die on our own hills that, at the end of the day, we're not going to go away still being friends. It's stupid how divided people are getting over politics and religion and gender and all this stuff nowadays. Just because you don't typically agree with somebody does not mean that you can't walk away and still be friends. And I just want to put that out there because, with things like alt-right demonstrations and stuff like that, don't be afraid of those people. Pity those people because it sucks. I would want them coming to Otacon and hanging out with us and enjoying the diversity and the fun rather than going down there and shouting about their precious rights and shit. Who cares? Shut up.
Basically, since the article is now up, this is from Fandom Spotlight. I think this is we've talked about Fandom Spotlight. I think we've spoken with the gentleman who runs the site a couple of times at Matt Burns' event. So this is from them. This is not from like a BuzzFeed or someplace like that. This is from a third-party site that is trying to be as neutral as possible in regards to reporting what came out. Ooh, spider. Basically, no, a spider came down the ceiling from a thread and was like, ooh, look, spider.
Yeah, I would have jumped out the window, I'm just saying.
It was only a little spider. Basically...
again, I would have jumped out the damn window. McKinney don't like spiders.
Basically said...
everything I just said doesn't apply to spiders.
Spiders want to just be Big Candy's friend, and all Big Candy wants to do is just jump out of the window and avoid spiders altogether.
There you go. It's no hate. I can't be around you.
That explains his reaction to Spider-Man at the drive-in theater last year.
That's true.
But the article not really starts, but the second paragraph in it says, Jason Kessler, who organized the Unite the Right rally last year in Charlottesville, has applied for a permit to hold a new rally in D.C. This rally is reportedly called the White Civil Rights Rally and is planned for August 11th and 12th, the same weekend as Otakon. While no permit has been issued, this application has been approved. And it tells about Otakon being a con about it being about inclusion, promoting inclusion, and the rally being based on exclusion. And he states how the attendees are concerned, which they have a right to be. And as we said, Otakon, the folks behind it know about it, and their official statement was, and he puts on here, it says, a post on Facebook from Otakon reads, to all of our fans and members, we would like you to know that Otakon is aware of the proposed rally in which would take place 2.1 miles from our event, and the concerns raised by our members, we are carefully monitoring the situation as it develops. And they have stated that, there's security, the convention center security, there's the officers that are going to be monitoring. Come on out. Please come to the event. Don't be scared, as what we said earlier. So,
well, the problem's not going to be at the convention. The problems, if any, are going to be on the metro.
Right.
If you got people, and these things typically, you get nervous when you hear white civil rights rally. Odds are there'll be 300 people that show up, because a lot of people don't feel that way. They may think that they have a foothold in this movement or whatever, but they really don't. A lot of people are really don't like this guy. Jason Kessler is a real piece of shit. He's the guy behind Charlottesville, and he's a real dickhole, top-notch dickhole. But typically, I don't think a lot of people will show up for that thing. But the problem would be, you got somebody in cosplay riding the metro, and then there's some jackass with a protest sign that would make an off-color comment or something like that. So I guess that's where a lot of people are concerned. Would be outside of the convention or on the way to, but I really don't think that they're going to have anything to worry about, because, like I said, to be honest with you, the numbers are going to be on Otacon's side. Truthfully, I really don't think that there's going to be a bunch of people. You'd have to be a real jerk to show up to this thing.
And the thing is, again, there's a lot of fans. Not only is Otakon going to have their own events, there's going to be a lot of fans meeting up with each other, checking in on each other. There's all these posts, again, on the Otakon forum. This is not the forum for Otakon is not run by Otakon. I'm sure they have their own official forum. The Facebook page, Otakon group page, is independent, but a lot of people know it's if we want, let's have hourly meetups in the separate hotels. That way we could all have together, have some fun, and have, release stress, make sure everybody's okay. Do that, that's beside besides the convention center, if you want to stay in the convention center because you feel that it's more secure, has better security, and a bigger crowd to look after you, do that. Please do that. We're urging you to go out, have fun. This is what Otakon is. We're supporting Otakon in this, and this is. Let me just say this right now. This is me with my mind changed. Literally, let me say that is because, as I said last year when we first went to Otakon back in 2006, I had a bad experience. At that point, I was calling Big Candy and like, you won't believe the fuckface this is. And literally, Otakon 10 years later changed my mind. And so they, in essence, to me, in my eyes, extended the olive branch. They changed my mind. They had a better venue, a better practice. And the fan base there was better. So, if we get a press pass, that is awesome. I have plans that I can execute and interviews and content I could bring all of you. If we don't, yes, it's sad, but I'm not worried about it. My opinion has changed about Otakon, and again, I'm going on official record just in case I'm monitoring the show. So, yes, I'm sucking up. Yes, I'm sucking up for a press pass. But I'm saying it not because we have a press pass application put in too. I'm saying it from true honesty. And go have fun. Have fun. That's what you're there for. If you're new to cosplaying, there's loads of cosplayers there that'll be happy to tell you their tips and tricks. I saw stuff. I didn't just see anime cosplay there. I saw gaming cosplay. I saw Disney cosplay. I saw cosplay that wasn't even related to anime. I'm not talking about just the gaming. So I think there was a Rick and Morty cosplay there too.
Deadpool and Harley Quinn.
I might actually gain more footage to actually put a video for the Dobbs' little music song that he gave us. So I'll get more footage there. And for the folks who actually heard that little song, that little ditty, I will be using a brief little skit or little footage from one of Matt Burns' little footage that we got from his March event. It will fit perfectly in that little center part of Dobbs' song. So, and this is not a dig to any cosplayer who actually puts great work into what they do. We're just the song. If you haven't heard the song,
by the way, can I interject really quick?
Go ahead.
So I owe the cosplaying world an apology.
Oh, go ahead. I want to hear this.
Okay, I've never been I've never really appreciated cosplay, and the reason why is because I didn't understand it, and I let my biases really come out, and I should have just shut my mouth, which is I'm bad at. But so I got a new hobby, and I don't know where it came from. It's just one of those things that randomly come to me. And I started doing prop weaponry just because I was looking for something to do that wasn't baseball cards because I couldn't afford to do that anymore. And I've been watching videos and stuff online and things like that. People remodeling Nerf guns and things like that. And I said, hey, I like to design stuff and I like to do stuff like that. And just it's like a fringe thing with cosplay. It's really not cosplay itself because I don't do any outfits or anything like that. But I've started really modding guns and doing painting and stuff. And it's just doing that. It's a lot harder than you think. It's it's time consuming, and it's involves a lot of patience, and it involves a lot of creativity. And then when I'm reflecting on it, because ultimately people who are going to end up, I'm not going to say buying or whatever, maybe possibly in the future purchasing the weapons that I'm making are going to be cosplayers. And I really realized how much effort that they put into those outfits. And I guess I never really realized like the level of creativity and talent that it takes to actually do cosplay and do it well. And so I'm going to sit here and I'm going to say, like, as far as like how I felt about cosplay, yeah, I was pretty wrong. It's just as creative as like making comic books. It's just as creative as, like, you know, if not more so than producing, like, you know, content for podcasts. It's like, it's right up there with everything else in geek culture, and it deserves equal footing in the culture. And I think like, you know, reflecting on that, I think that there's been like I've had a lot of just nothing but shitty things to say about it, and I'm going to go back on everything I ever said. Honestly. Seriously. Just like my newfound, like, you know, hobby has showed me just how much you have, like I've been watching some of the stuff that, like, the steampunkers do, and as dumb as that is, like, I still don't get the concept of it. Like, I don't understand. But as weird as I think that is, like, a lot of the stuff that they do is really neat, just from a design aspect. And I think that's really at the heart of what it is. It's not so much that it's functional, it's the fact that it's that it's just cool looking.
Right. And a lot of cosplayers go for accuracy, as close to 100% accuracy as they can. So, and I, like I said, I think, like, as far as like steampunkers go and stuff like that, like, I don't think that, like, see, I'm a function over fashion person first. And so, like, my problem is, like, my creativity gets limited by the fact that I can't accept things. But, like, if I actually set that aside, like, and I look at stuff that people do in the steampunk movement, I'm like, oh, wow, that's really cool. Like, even though, like, if you broke it down and you made it real and the technology was there, it wouldn't work for shit, because things don't work that way. But if you just use your imagination, it's different, and it does work that way. So I got to go back. Ow! Would you stop stepping on me? Let me guess, your cat.
No, my wife.
Wait a minute. Your wife walked by with and made that weird purring sound? That is the.
I'm going to come back and make your noise.
It's like all I heard was a weird purring sound, then all of a sudden, about a minute later, ow, stop walking on me.
She's very tired, and she might be in her little some weird animal mood. She's speaking her language, as they say.
So, I think that's pretty much all we have to cover right now. And yeah. If Big Candy doesn't have any more to say, we could kind of end it right here. And
you have to say? My feet hurts. Her feet hurt.
Her feet hurts. So wait a minute. Here's that article. It finally pops up at the end of the goddamn show. It pops up again. Fuck you, Twitter. Fuck you. It's called TanaCon, and the person, this was the article I was kind of referenced from. It said, on Friday, thousands of people showed up to a YouTube star, Tana Montague's first ever fan convention, TanaCon, hoping to meet digital creators like Shane Dawson, Gabby Hanna, and also Kristen Neistat was there. While some were lucky to get inside of the venue, thousands were left waiting in the heat for hours before capacity and safety issues forced the entire event to temporary shutdown. And from them themselves said, just got word there are literally 20,000 people outside right now. VidCon was expecting 30,000. That's absolutely insane. And I'm so overwhelmed by that kind of support. I never would have thought that this could happen. 20,000 fucking people wanting to get into my event. And also says, I know that this is very cliche, but please be safe, respectful of other people, and as calm as you could possibly be at an event as dope as this one. So, for a new event,
my knee just moved.
So we're going to end on that, and folks, stay tuned for our usual links and after show message. So take care
and Chris's little number that he's going to do at the end of our show.
And that ready show. And so there's that, and I'm going to just kind of stop it right. And we're back. I hope you enjoyed the new recording style and the fact that, well, for one thing, I don't sound like, at least on my end, I don't sound like I'm really on the mic like I was used to. And I don't mean like I am now. I mean really close to the mic like this. But, like I was saying, I hope you enjoyed it. And before I get into the contact information and the tail end of the show where I tell you where you could find us and how to contact our show, let me just let you all know that I did get a chance to see the new Jurassic World movie today, as of this recording, Sunday, the 24th of June. That's right, I did get a chance to see it. I did not get a chance to see Incredibles yet. I might see it soon. I've been hearing a little bit of good things, and it also kind of fits into the Pixar theory that we probably should be getting into if we haven't gotten into that already. But for now, let me just say, Jurassic Park was pretty good. It seemed above average. I know a lot of people will say that it was average. Yes, there were times that seemed like they kind of shoehorned like the whole aspect of the T-Rex and the raptor known as Blue. At times, it seemed like, oh, we have to put in the T-Rex at this point, or we have to put in Blue at this point. And there are going to be some people that it seemed like where I know there's going to be some people out there that would say that the Jurassic Park movies / Jurassic World movie that came out a few years ago, it was just a quote unquote equivalent of a nostalgia fest, which I don't think it was. Yes, they played homage to a lot of the original Jurassic Park stuff, but it was very good and very well done, and it kind of let everybody know what happened since. And this is, they spent maybe about 2 minutes kind of recapping what happened at the end, like between what happened with the last one and this one, and a continuation. Yes, I'm not going to I'm trying not my best, folks, to spoil anything. But even though, I might have done it, but a lot of the stuff that you're seeing in the trailers, again, what I think a lot of studios are doing is putting different footage or alternate footage in the trailers, because a lot of what I've seen in the trailers is not in the movie. So that is always a good thing. It's like, let them show the aspects. Okay, this character is going to be in it, or there's going to be an interaction between these two characters, but let's do something completely different. So, or show them A, but it's going to come out and B, kind of like what we saw with Avengers Infinity War, where we saw a lot of Hulk himself being in the fight and being everything else, but we didn't really see it in this Infinity War. We might see it in the next one, or in essence the next Avengers movie, but that's beside the point. This was pretty good. It had a couple of chuckles, it had a couple of laughs, and it is doing extremely well. I enjoyed it. I do say go check it out. I'll probably be getting the digital copy when it does finally come out in digital. And let's see here. What I think the last time I saw it, it was at 150 million for the weekend. And I'm bringing up Box Office Mojo, our usual source for the numbers for the week. And let's see, here it is. Yeah, there it is. There is Box Office Mojo. And it looks like with 100, it was a short hair above the 150 million mark this week. I mean, this weekend. That when this number is usually dropped, it doesn't include today, Sunday or Monday, so that number might actually be higher when the official numbers come out tomorrow, or when this episode is released. So as of today, this recording, it's at 150, so it might be closer to 160 or 180 million. This is the U.S. total. This is not a worldwide total, and it did come out. I think Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom did come out before in other countries before the United States. So, and I was hearing a lot of good things. I didn't hear anything about any after credits scene, so I didn't really stay for the whole entire credits. But I will tell you this: the theater was packed, and it was airing on 2 screens at the local theater. And yesterday, when I was checking out the showtimes, there were a lot of sold out times that Lost World had at the local theater. Now, again, mind you, instead of having 2 theaters in town, we now are down to 1, and it's the $5 theater, $5/$7 theater. So this is a good thing for them. I wish I could talk about this more with Big Candy, but I just wanted to add this in, saying that I did see it, I did like it, and if you want to go see, if you haven't seen it already, do go see it. The trailers cover maybe the first part of the movie, but not really the second part. There are a few parts of it that you're like, really? But you should overlook it. And there were a few things that I was kind of expecting to see, but they didn't really show, because they were expecting, like, okay, you're this person's this, the X, Y, and Z, and it made me think, oh, they brought Jeff Goldblum back for this sequel. Maybe they brought somebody else back, or at least a nod with a photo or something like that. I was wrong, but still, go see it. I do recommend it. There was a lot of action in it, and I think all of you would like it, so go see it, check it out. That's just my opinion, so I'm going to drop that, and let's continue on, and if you disagree with anything I said in regards to the movie, or anything I said with my conversation with Big Candy, please, or what Big Candy said, or anything like that, you can do so by always emailing us at longcoatmafia@gmail.com, or leaving us a message on Facebook, and our Facebook page is facebook.com/The Longcoat Mafia Podcast. And while you're there, please click that like button, and that way you're always up to date where we're going, what we plan on doing, instead of listening to the podcast and finding out that way. And besides, I tend to share news there as well. So, and plus you're able, I believe there's an email link on that, on our show page on Facebook. So either way, not only are you able to send a message to us there and email us through our Facebook page, we also have a Twitter account. Our Twitter account is Longcoat Mafia, and you can also DM us and follow us on Instagram, which our handle there is also Longcoat Mafia. And that's pretty much for the social networking pages that we have overall, regarding at least Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We do have a YouTube page where at least I am trying to put up more video for all of you, whether it's a vlog or an event I've gone to that I wish to share content with all of you. Now, here's the thing. I might share some exclusive content to our YouTube page and our YouTube channel, and some exclusive content to only our Facebook page in regards to videos. And that being said, it's because YouTube, it tends to be a little finicky with what you can and cannot put up. So, and Facebook is a little bit more looser and with the guidelines. So the link to our YouTube channel is in the show's description. So Or you can, when you're on YouTube, just look up Long Coat Mafia Podcast and we will show up. And speaking of our show and where to listen to us, you can always listen to us through our website, which is the Long Coat Rented Lips. I am a very tired fellow, ladies and gentlemen, so please forgive me. I couldn't sleep last night, and I had a creative moment, so I'm a little bit out of it mind-wise. So our main page is thelongcoatmafia.podbean.com. You can stream all our episodes from this current episode all the way back to the beginning. Almost 3 years! Almost 3 years. And also, you could download our episodes from our website, again, which is thelongcoatmafia.podbean.com, and listen to them in your favorite MP3 playing program on your desktop or your laptop computer. Now, if you have a mobile device, you could also, speaking of either a laptop or desktop, you can still listen to us through iTunes and Stitcher Radio, and aka Stitcher.com, also through Spotify. So you do have options there. And speaking of iTunes, if you're on the go, you can listen to us on any smart device, whether it's phone, tablet, or other portable device. And you can do so if it's an Apple device, aka iPad or iPhone. You could download our episodes through Apple Podcasts, or if it's an Android device, either Google Play Music, or I think they're switching over to a Google Play Podcasts app. So stick with us for more information and stick with our social media. That way, once we get everything adjusted and switched over, you'll be able to hopefully still follow the links that we have to do it. So, again, stick with us for more news on that. But I recommend using the Podbean app, which is available for both the the Android phones and Apple mobile devices as well. And you're able to download and listen to all our episodes from the beginning to current, or I should say current to all the way back to the beginning. And it's easy to use, and free to sign up. You don't have to pay a dime. And there's loads of other podcasts on that app that you're able to listen to as well. So just make sure you subscribe to us there as well. And there is also Stitcher has a mobile app for both Apple products and Android-based devices, as well as Spotify. So you do have options of how to listen to our show. So, and besides, if you're listening to something other than Android or Apple, you could always, again, as I stated, download our podcasts and hopefully transfer our episodes to that particular mobile device. So, again, thank all of you for listening, and stay tuned for the next few weeks. We hopefully will have a lot of great stuff for you, and we have a lot of stuff planned to bring to all of you in the next 4 months. Hopefully, fingers are crossed. So, take care, good night, and in essence, see all of you next week.
See you next time on the Long Coat Mafia.